Have you ever had that odd feeling, like someone might be watching or listening to you, even when you're all alone at home? Maybe you said something out loud, just in passing, and then a few hours later, a strange ad popped up on your phone or computer that matched your words almost too perfectly. It makes you pause, doesn't it? You ask yourself, did I actually say that out loud, or was someone listening in? Now, I'm not here to scare you, but I am here to open your eyes. Because whether we like it or not, the world has changed. And the truth is, some of the very things we've welcomed into our homes, the things we thought were helpful, modern, even fun, have quietly become little spies in disguise. I know that sounds dramatic, but stay with me, because once you understand what's going on, you can take simple, smart steps to protect yourself. And I promise you, this is not about fear. It's about freedom. Because your privacy, your independence, and your peace of mind matter. Today, I want to share something I believe every older American should hear. There are 5 places in your everyday life where you're being watched or tracked without even realizing it. And once you know what they are, you'll feel more in control and a whole lot less vulnerable. Let's start with the place where it happens most often, right in the palm of your hand. That's right, your smartphone. Now, before you roll your eyes and say, "Well, I don't use it that much," let me tell you something, you don't have to. Even if you just use it to check the weather, play a quick game, or talk to your grandkids, your phone is still collecting information about you, especially through the apps you've installed. You might think, I only have a few apps: Facebook, a puzzle game, my pharmacy. But here's the catch. Many of these apps, especially the free ones, aren't really free at all. You may not be paying money, but you are paying with something far more valuable: your personal information. Let me give you a real-life example. Margaret is 72 and lives in Texas. She downloaded a free word game on her phone, just something to keep her mind sharp. She liked it, played it often, and never gave it a second thought. But what Margaret didn't know was that the game was tracking her location, constantly, even when she wasn't playing. It also had access to her microphone and her contacts. For a simple game, that's a lot of access, don't you think? One day, she casually mentioned to her neighbor that she was thinking of buying orthopedic shoes. Later that evening, her phone showed her an ad for, guess what, orthopedic shoes. The very same brand her neighbor had recommended. She laughed it off at first. But after it happened again and again, she began to feel uneasy. And frankly, a little creeped out. See, most people don't realize that thousands of apps are designed to collect information about what you do, what you say, and even where you go. Then that data gets sold, yes, sold, to advertisers or other companies who use it to target you with specific ads. That's why when you're talking about a trip to Florida, your phone suddenly seems full of cheap flight deals. It's not magic. It's tracking. For seniors, this goes beyond just annoying ads. When apps know your age, your habits, your medications, even your mobility level, you become a prime target for scams. Think about it. If someone knows you're retired, home most days, and dealing with back pain, how easy is it for them to craft a personalized scam that looks convincing? So what can you do? First, take a few minutes to go into your phone's settings. Look at the apps you already have and check what permissions they're using. Does a puzzle game really need access to your microphone? Does your flashlight app really need your location? If the answer is no, turn those permissions off. Second, delete any app you don't use regularly. The fewer doors into your phone, the better. And finally, when you download something new, don't just tap accept without reading. Take an extra minute to see what you're agreeing to. That one habit can make all the difference. Now let's move from what you hold in your hand to what you type on your keyboard. Because the second place you're being watched, without even knowing it, is in your online searches. This one surprises a lot of people. There's something about typing into that search bar that feels private, almost like whispering a secret into the air. But in reality, it's one of the least private things you can do on the internet. Every single search, whether it's knee pain at night or best cruise deals for seniors, gets recorded, not just by the search engine, but by a whole web of trackers, cookies, and data collectors. Let me tell you about Frank, a retired teacher in Florida. He was starting to forget things more often, nothing alarming, just little slips here and there. So late one night, he typed into his computer, "Best vitamins for memory loss after 70." He figured it was a private search, just him and Google. But within days, he started seeing ad after ad for expensive supplements, brain pills, and even pop-up windows from clinics promising miracle cures. Some of the ads looked legitimate, but others felt fishy. What Frank didn't know is that his search had been tracked. Not only what he typed, but which link he clicked, how long he stayed on the page, and even when he came back to search again. All of that information went into a digital profile of him. His age, his concerns, his interests. And companies jumped at the chance to sell to him. Now, for someone younger, this might just be annoying. But for seniors like Frank, it can be dangerous. Because some of these so-called miracle cures are scams. And when someone's worried about their health, they're more likely to trust a quick fix, especially if it seems like the ad was meant for them. So how do you protect yourself when you search? Start by using search engines that respect your privacy. There are a few out there that don't track your history or sell your data. You can also use your browser's private or incognito mode, which stops your searches from being saved locally, and make it a habit to clear your browsing history every so often. It takes just a few seconds, but it wipes out a lot of the breadcrumbs that trackers use to follow you around online. Remember, your questions, especially the personal ones, belong to you and no one else. You have every right to search for information without becoming a marketing target. Let's take a breath here. I know this can feel like a lot. The idea that our phones and even our private searches aren't really private anymore, it's frustrating. It's unfair, but it's also fixable. You don't need to throw out your phone or stop using the internet. You just need to be smarter than the systems trying to track you. And you can be. You absolutely can. Because the moment you understand what's happening, and you make even small changes, you start to take back control. And that's what this is all about. Not fear, but freedom. Now that we've talked about how your phone and online searches might be sharing more about you than you ever intended, let's take a walk into your living room. That's where the third place is hiding. Right there on the wall, or maybe sitting on a sleek stand in front of your favorite recliner. Your television. But not just any TV. I'm talking about those modern, flat-screen, internet-connected smart TVs. They're beautiful, aren't they? Crisp images, rich sound, instant access to streaming shows, news, and even video calls with your family. It really does feel like something out of the future. But here's what nobody tells you. These smart TVs, they're not just playing your favorite shows. In many cases, they're watching you right back. You see, these televisions are no longer just simple screens. They're more like powerful little computers with microphones, cameras, and internet connections built right in. And once they're connected online, they can quietly gather a lot more than just what you're watching. They know what time of day you sit down to relax. They track which shows you watch, how long you stay on a channel, if you rewind or fast forward, or if you switch off halfway through. All those little habits get turned into data. Now maybe you're thinking, so what? Let them know I like old westerns and cooking shows. What harm does that do? But the real issue isn't what you watch. It's what else that TV might be doing. Let me tell you about Walter. He's 74 and lives in Ohio. A kind-hearted man, a grandfather who loves cowboy movies and Jeopardy. He had a new smart TV installed by his grandson last Christmas, and it seemed like a real upgrade. But one day, while chatting with his daughter on a video call in front of the TV, something odd happened. A few days later, he started seeing ads for products they had talked about during that call. Not things he had searched for, just topics they'd discussed aloud. That's when he got curious and dug into the settings. And what he found was eye-opening. The microphone on his TV was turned on by default. It was always listening for voice commands. But it wasn't just listening. It was recording short clips. Clips that sometimes got sent back to the manufacturer for quality control or improving the voice feature. Imagine that. Sitting in your own home, having a private conversation with someone you love, and never realizing your TV might be hearing every word. And this isn't just Walter's story. Investigations have found that smart TVs from several well-known brands have collected audio and viewing data from users without properly informing them. The companies say it's for personalization. But when you dig deeper, it often means they're selling that data to advertisers, who then try to market products to you based on what your TV picked up. For seniors, this hits differently. The living room is where we feel most at peace. We talk about our health, our memories, our families, our finances. We trust that space. But if your television is silently gathering details while you're discussing your medication over the phone, or talking about retirement plans with your spouse, that's more than an annoyance. That's a violation. So, what can you do? First, go to the settings on your TV. If you don't know how, ask a family member or look it up online for your TV brand. Most smart TVs allow you to turn off microphone access or disable voice recognition features. If you don't use those features, turn them off. Second, cover the camera. Yes, many smart TVs have a built-in camera, especially if they support video calls. If you don't use it, cover it with a small sliding lens cover or even a piece of black electrical tape. It's a simple fix, but it adds a real layer of peace of mind. And finally, consider how often you're sharing sensitive conversations in front of your TV. You don't need to whisper, but just be aware. Some devices are more open than we realize. Your home should feel like your space, not a space where you're constantly being monitored. Your television should be a window into the world, not a window into your life for companies to peer through. Now, let's head to another part of your home, the kitchen counter, your nightstand, maybe even your bookshelf. Because the next place where you might be watched or recorded is through your home assistant device. I'm talking about gadgets like Alexa, Google Home, or Apple's Siri. They've become pretty common over the past few years, especially for folks who appreciate a little convenience. You can ask them for the weather, play your favorite gospel songs, set medication reminders, or even call someone without having to pick up the phone. It all feels helpful, even comforting. And that's the tricky part. Because these devices often feel like companions. But in reality, they're something else entirely. Let me introduce you to Helen. She's 70 and lives out in California. A widow, gentle soul, and very tech-savvy for her age. She liked the idea of being able to say, "Alexa, call my daughter," or "Play Elvis Presley." Her son gave her the device last year, and it made her feel more connected, more in control. One evening, while paying bills over the phone, Helen read out her banking info aloud while sitting near the kitchen, right where Alexa was placed. A few days later, she started receiving strange calls about financial services, credit protection, and loan offers she'd never requested. Was it just coincidence? Maybe. But that seed of doubt never left her. She unplugged Alexa that night and hasn't turned it back on since. What most people don't realize is that these home assistants are always listening. That's how they're able to respond when you say their name. And while companies claim they only record when activated by a wake word like "Hey Siri" or "Alexa," studies have shown that these devices often mishear and start recording at the wrong times. Worse still, some of those recordings are stored. And sometimes they're even reviewed by company employees to improve performance. That means a complete stranger could listen to part of a private conversation, all in the name of tech support. And it's not just voice. These assistants often connect to other smart devices in your home: lights, thermostats, security systems, even your refrigerator. That creates a web of information. When you're home, when you're out, when you sleep, how you shop. It's more than convenience. It's a map of your life. You have to ask yourself, do I really want my daily habits stored in a database somewhere? Do I want a company knowing what I ask about my health, my finances, or my family? The good news is, you're not stuck. You can still enjoy the helpful features and protect your privacy. Start by going into your assistant settings. Turn off the option to save audio recordings. You'll usually find this under Privacy or History. You can also delete past recordings. If your device has a microphone off button, use it when you're not speaking to it. And consider placing the device away from phones or spots where private conversations happen. Do you really need Alexa in the bedroom? Probably not. And lastly, ask yourself honestly, do you even need it at all? If it's more of a novelty than a necessity, it might be time to let it go. Technology should serve you, not the other way around. You deserve the freedom to live in your home without wondering if someone's listening in. Your thoughts, your stories, your moments, they belong to you. And they should stay with you unless you choose to share them. You've made it this far with me, and I want to take a moment to thank you. Because the truth is, just by being here, by listening, reflecting, and becoming more aware, you're already doing the most important thing, taking back your power. We've talked about your phone, your online searches, your television, and even your smart assistant. These are all things we welcome into our lives because they're helpful, fun, or simply part of how the world works today. But there's one more place I want to talk about. And this one is different because it's not inside your home. It's outside, where you walk, where you shop, where you live your life. The fifth place you're being watched, and you probably don't even think about it, is through public security cameras. Now, I know what you might be thinking. That's for safety, right? And yes, in many cases, it is. Security cameras are everywhere now. On street poles, at the gas station, outside your grocery store, in banks, post offices, pharmacies, even your favorite diner. And most of us grew up believing that if a camera is around, it's there to protect us. But here's the thing. Cameras today are no longer the grainy, fuzzy black and white footage from 20 years ago. The technology has gotten smarter. Much smarter. These cameras can now recognize faces. They can track movements. They can connect what you do at one location to what you do at another. Some of them are linked to giant systems that automatically match faces to databases, and you don't even know it's happening. Let me tell you about Arthur. He's 76, retired from working in auto manufacturing in Michigan. One afternoon, he decided to stop at a little cafe he hadn't been to in years. It was a spontaneous thing. He ordered a coffee, sat down with his crossword puzzle, and enjoyed his afternoon. About a week later, he started getting flyers in the mail, discounts for that very cafe, promotions on items they served, even a coupon for his birthday. But here's the strange part. Arthur had never given them his email, never signed up for a loyalty card, and never entered his phone number. Puzzled, he asked the cafe manager how they got his information. The manager smiled and said, "Oh, we partner with a system that recognizes returning customers. It helps us personalize service." Arthur felt unsettled. Not angry, just watched. That's the core of this issue. It's not that you've done anything wrong, but you're being recorded, logged, and in some cases analyzed, without your consent. And it's not just businesses. Many cities are expanding surveillance programs. Cameras at traffic lights and public parks now come equipped with microphones, motion sensors, and real-time facial recognition. It's not science fiction anymore. It's here. You might be asking, well, what's the harm if I'm not doing anything wrong? The harm is in what's done with the data. Who has access to it? How long is it stored? Can it be sold? Could it be misused or hacked? Most of the time, we simply don't know. And for older adults who already face enough challenges to independence, things like mobility issues, financial vulnerability, and even age-related discrimination, being constantly tracked can feel like losing one more piece of freedom. Because privacy isn't about hiding. It's about having space to just be. To walk down the street, grab a sandwich, go to the pharmacy, or sit in the park without being watched, judged, or logged. So what can you do? Well, you can't remove every camera. But you can be aware. Look around when you're out and about. Notice where cameras are. It doesn't mean you have to live in fear. It just means you're informed. Avoid reading sensitive information, like financial documents or personal notes. Out in public, where cameras may also record audio. If you need to make a call about private matters, step away from crowds or public devices. And when it comes to the businesses you frequent, support the ones that are transparent about how they handle data. Some stores post signs letting you know if you're being recorded or how long footage is kept. That kind of honesty matters. We can't go back to the way things were, but we can demand better boundaries now. And that brings us to something deeper than all the technology, all the tracking, and all the data. It brings us to you. You sitting there, maybe sipping tea or coffee, maybe with a grandchild in the next room, or maybe living on your own. But still showing up for yourself by watching this, by caring about your privacy, your dignity, your future. Because that's what this is really about. Not just protecting your data, but protecting your independence. Think about it. When someone listens to you without permission, watches you without your consent, or collects pieces of your life without telling you, they aren't just taking data. They're taking away your right to choose, your right to be left alone, your right to be free in your own space. And that's not okay. Not for you, not for anyone. But here's the good news. You're not powerless. You don't need to understand all the technology or memorize every setting. You just need to make small, mindful changes that give you back a sense of control. Every time you turn off a setting on your phone, every time you delete an app that doesn't respect your privacy, every time you cover your camera, or say no to an unnecessary device, that's you drawing a line. That's you saying, my life is mine. And those small steps, they add up. So tonight, when you're done watching this, pick one thing. Just one. Check your TV settings. Turn off your assistant's microphone. Review the apps on your phone. Or even just think differently the next time you use a search engine. Because even that shift in awareness makes a difference. You deserve to feel safe in your home. You deserve to walk freely outside without being analyzed. You deserve to have conversations without wondering who else might be listening. You deserve to ask questions, search for answers, and connect with the world without becoming a product for companies to sell. And you deserve to live your later years with confidence, not confusion. With freedom, not fear. If this message spoke to you today, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever felt like your device was listening when you didn't ask it to? Or noticed an ad that seemed a little too accurate? Let me know in the comments below. Your story might be just what someone else needs to feel less alone. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a like. It helps get this message in front of more people, especially those who need it most. Hit subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss out on future tips from this channel. We're here to support each other, one smart, simple choice at a time. You're not too old to take charge of your tech. You're not behind the times. You're strong, you're smart, and your privacy is worth protecting. Here's to living wisely, boldly, and freely. Because life after 60 can be your most empowered chapter yet.